Have you ever watched yourself fall for the same kind of woman, the same glittering promise, the same hot-cold dance, and wondered why your head was nodding while your gut was shaking? You tell yourself this one is different, that the red flag is really a sunset, that the gossip is jealousy, and the knot in your stomach is just excitement. Then it unravels the familiar way, and you blame her, or fate, or bad luck, until the mirror starts speaking. Carl Jung would say the trick wasn't only out there. The deceiver had a room inside you first. He called it the trickster, a chaos spirit that wears masks, scrambles signals, and thrives in confusion. He also named the Anima, the inner feminine image every man carries, which can either humanize his love or hypnotize him into projection. When the trickster hijacks the Anima, you don't see a person, you see a spell. Recognize the deceiver within, and you will recognize its cousins outside. Fail to do so, and you will keep mistaking compulsion for chemistry. Jung described the trickster as a primordial shapeshifter, childish and cunning, sacred and ridiculous, forever playing at the border between order and chaos. In a man's psyche, the trickster does not argue. It juggles. It scrambles memory, edits context, amuses you into lowering your guard, and convinces you that the obvious requires deeper reading, while the subtle requires none. Team the trickster with an unexamined Anima, and you have the classic setup. The Anima, when healthy, softens hardness, tunes you to meaning, and opens you to devotion. When possessed by the trickster, she becomes a siren inside you, a private chorus selling fantasies as facts. You do not fall for a woman, you fall for your inner film projected onto her face. Jung warned that what we do not make conscious appears in our life as fate. The trickster specializes in that fatal theater. It feeds your boyhood hunger for rescue, your vanity for being the exception, your appetite for forbidden drama, and it packages these impulses as destiny. Notice how the inner commentary goes when the spell is on. Warnings from friends become proof they don't get it. Inconsistencies become charming quirks. Disrespect becomes trauma you will heal with enough patience. The trickster keeps score by how far it can move you from your own center, while making you believe you are moving toward it. The antidote begins with naming, not blaming. Jung would have you stand the characters in a row. The dazzled boy who wants to be chosen, the cynical watcher who thinks he's immune, the exhausted adult who avoids intimacy to avoid mirrors, and the inner siren who whispers that intensity equals truth. Each has a legitimate need buried under theater. The boy wants tenderness, the watcher wants safety, the adult wants peace, the siren wants wonder. When the trickster runs the show, needs are smuggled as addictions. When consciousness returns, needs are negotiated as duties. You stop treating longing as law and begin treating it as information. The female deceiver within is not a woman. It is your myth about women. Left unexamined, it will recruit whichever face fits the script. Jung's point is brutal and freeing. If you dissolve the spell at its source, you become capable of seeing a partner as she is. If you keep the spell intact, you will keep meeting its actors until you learn the line you refuse to say. No projection without verification. Masks keep cities civil, Jung said, and he called the mask the persona. You need a persona to transact with the world, to package strength, to keep private things private. The trickster hacks the persona. It turns your mask into a mirror aimed at yourself, so you fall in love with how you look while forgetting who is looking. In romance, this appears as performance intimacy. You narrate feelings with lyrical precision. You present vulnerability on cue. You listen like a therapist and compliment like a poet. It dazzles. It also hides. The persona buys approval. while the unexamined drives do the real bargaining behind the curtain. The inner deceiver sells two big lies here. First, disclosure equals depth. Second, agreement equals alignment. Jung would contest both. Depth is not how much you share, but how much of what you share can withstand reality. Alignment is not how beautifully you echo each other in a mood, but how reliably you act under weather. The trickster loathes weather checks. It wants everything to be a vibe, unmeasured and immediate. So it frames every request for verification as distrust, every limit as control, every delay as rejection. You start calling prudence paranoia and label your flash judgments intuition. Then you double down to protect your pride. There is a quieter deception at work, confabulation. When facts don't fit your desire, the trickster stitches a story from scraps. She isn't pulling away, she's just overwhelmed. She isn't negating boundaries, she's just passionate. She isn't triangulating attention, she's just social. Any single claim can be true. The pattern is what matters. Jung's counsel is to raise pattern above moment. Moment seduces. Pattern instructs. The inner trickster hates pattern because pattern dissolves spells. Recognition begins with modesty in the face of the psyche. Your consciousness is not the whole you. It is a pilot in a cockpit crowded with voices. Jung would have you admit that you are suggestible when you are flattered, tired, or starved for meaning. He would also have you admit that you can trick yourself without malice. This admission is not weakness. It is the beginning of discrimination. Once you honor how easily the mask tricks the wearer, you will stop betting your future on first impressions and stop insulting reality by calling caution cynicism. The trickster loses oxygen when the persona becomes a tool again, not a throne. You put the mask back on its hook, keep your name on your face, and rediscover that quiet men are not always cold. Sometimes they are careful with fire. Projection is Jung's most practical warning. Whatever you refuse to claim in yourself appears outside you, carrying your signature. Disowned grace shows up as worship of another. Disowned hunger shows up as resentment at another. Disowned aggression shows up as fear of another. In dating, the anima becomes a projector. You cast an archetypal image on a living woman and then prosecute her for not matching your film. The trickster thrives in this exchange. It cajoles you into confusing prose with poetry, appetite with omen, compatibility with chemistry. The shape this takes is familiar. You meet a woman who stirs your hunger and your myth in the same hour. She becomes a catalyst for your unlived life. You call it fate. Jung would call it a psychic event that requires interpretation. Ask how fast you moved to certainty, how many contradictions you edited to keep the high, how quickly you offered devotion before evidence. Projection shows itself by speed, intensity, and the sense that you have known each other before. Perhaps you have in your dreams, where the inner femininity has been waiting to be recognized. The psyche does not hate you. It is trying to introduce you to yourself by thrilling you with an image. The trickster abuses that introduction by promising salvation in a person. There is deception from without as well, and Jung does not ask you to be naive. Some people, women and men alike, will wield attention like a hook and scarcity like a leash. Intermittent reinforcement turns grown men into gamblers. The trickster inside cheers because it loves the casino. Here is the discriminating move. If your vision narrows as you bond, if your days become all reaction and little creation, if your standards evaporate and return as speeches, you are not in love. You are in orbit. Love expands the world, while it concentrates the heart. Deception shrinks the world and stretches your justifications. Begin to test the story by small abstentions that cost you. Delay the flooded text and see what your spine does without a reply. Keep a prior commitment and see whether respect meets you or rage prosecutes you. Hold a boundary without apology and study what comes back. You are not punishing anyone. You are checking whether your projection is meeting a person who can carry it, or a theatre that requires you to keep the film running. When projection dissolves, the woman may become more luminous or more ordinary. Either outcome is mercy. You gain a partner or a lesson. The trickster loses either way because the spell breaks where the facts begin. Shadow is Jung's word for the parts of you that the ego refuses, the energies you exile to keep your story clean. Call them unflattering truths, forbidden appetites, ancient losses that still recruit your days. The trickster runs the shadow like a smuggler's harbor. As long as your aggression is all righteous anger, and your envy is all discernment, and your neediness is all depth, you are available to any stage that flatters your mask. Integration does not mean acting out the shadow. It means owning it so it stops owning you. Start by speaking plain words to yourself. You like the chase more than the keeping. You find chaos erotic when you feel flat. You fear boredom because boredom would reveal you haven't built a life big enough to host peace. You hide superiority beneath standards. You hide cowardice beneath empathy. Jung is not scolding. He is asking for precision. When a man can say these sentences without collapse, something shifts. The trickster loses its favorite instrument, which is your denial. Shadow material that has been named becomes potential, not poison. Aggression becomes courage under aim. Envy becomes hunger for growth. Need becomes capacity for attachment with honesty about limits. Individuation, Jung's aim for adulthood, proceeds through confrontation with shadow, not its repression. Expect embarrassment. Expect the awkward first attempts at new moves. Expect the social friction when your circle discovers you are no longer auto-agreeable. The inner deceiver will try one last card, calling your integration arrogance. Do not answer the insult. Answer reality. Are you more precise, more measured, more able to keep a promise without performing a martyrdom? Are you less hooked by flattery and more allergic to doublespeak? Are you kinder without bargaining? That is the fruit. A further move matters. Forgive the younger version of you that needed the trickster. He was protecting you from pain you could not metabolize. He made you interesting when you had not yet made yourself substantial. Then discharge him from command with thanks. Children should not fly planes. Adults who do not thank their inner child for service end up hating him, and hated children sabotage grown men. Jung's work is not a purge. It is a reorganization. The trickster, once disarmed, remains a jester at your court. He keeps you from becoming a brittle saint. He entertains. He does not steer. External deception deserves sober eyes. The psyche's archetypes do not cancel the existence of games people play. Gaslighting turns your reality test against you. Intermittent reward hooks your nervous system into craving uncertainty. Love bombing floods the room to make you forget your feet. Pretty piety sanctifies manipulation. Jung would caution you to look for symbols and look for patterns in tandem. Symbols reveal meaning. Patterns reveal power. The female deceiver outside is not a doctrine about women. It is a description of a style anyone can use, though men often meet it in women, because that is where their unworked anima aims its hope. She will glow when you threaten to leave and chill when you stay. She will require radical empathy for her storms and call your boundaries cruelty. She will keep a gallery of near admirers to heat her room and accuse you of jealousy to keep you compliant. You will confuse your need to rescue with love. Jung would whisper that rescue is often a fantasy your ego rides to feel necessary. Necessary men are useful. Free men are chosen. Resisting an external trickster begins with refusing internal collapse. Hold your lines without tantrum. Move decisions to ground that can be measured, like time, place, and behavior, not moods and metaphors. Do not attempt to win in atmospheres designed to be unwinnable. State what you can participate in, what you will not, and what will happen next. Then let the pattern teach both of you. If disrespect remains cheap, make absence expensive. If respect appears and stays after your lines hold, you are seeing adulthood. The inner deceiver will beg you to negotiate your standards one more time to prove your heart. Deny the test. The proof your heart needs is that you can say no while remaining warm. Jung's final filter is meaning. Does this bond enlarge your life, sharpen your work, widen your laughter, and deepen your prayer, however you understand it? Or does it shrink your world, corrode your duties, hollow your laugh, and teach you to speak falsely to keep the peace? The unconscious loves drama. The self loves truth. When you choose for truth long enough, dramatists drift from your life and adults gather. The trickster never dies, but he runs out of audience. He keeps the wit. He loses the weapons. Jung aimed his men at individuation, the long becoming of a person who is at home in his own depths and competent in the day. The trickster, the anima, the persona, the shadow, the self. These are not toys. They are names for powers you meet, whether you read a single page or not. The question is whether you meet them as a citizen or as a tourist. A citizen knows the laws of his inner city, honors its gods by calling them by their names, and refuses foreign propaganda that tells him what to worship. A tourist wanders with a camera and calls the flood an adventure until it takes him. The female deceiver within stops running your life when you prefer reality to romance and pattern to promises. The female deceiver without stops finding purchase when your speech becomes simple and your boundaries become silent facts. What remains is the possibility of meeting an actual woman as an actual man, not two myths negotiating airtime. Jung's psychology is not a crusade against the feminine. It is a defense of the real feminine from your projection, and a defense of your masculine spine from your need to be rescued by your own fantasies. Expect to be called cold, controlling, or cynical by those who benefited from your confusion. Do not answer with heat. Keep building a life that does not need theater. Craft, brotherhood, service, prayer, the slow dignity of a room you can maintain and a standard you can keep are the antidotes to glamour. When the trickster returns, he will try charm first, then fear, then shame. Smile at charm, measure fear, and deny shame its jurisdiction. You are not on trial for becoming sober. You made it to the end, which already separates you from men who prefer spells to mirrors. If this named the shadow you keep meeting and the image you keep projecting, break the wall with me. Write your thoughts in the comments below and like this video. Share this to a brother who keeps calling compulsion love, and subscribe if you want psychology with a blade. Jung's warning is as old as myth and as fresh as your next decision. Recognize the trickster, recall the projection, honor the self, and act in ways that make reality your ally.